welcome back to Cash Flow Confidence. I'm Shelby Ashley, and I help business owners feel more confident about their cash flow. Today's episode is for you if you have ever found yourself staring at your ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning wondering, should I really hire that person, or should I invest in this marketing strategy, or can I really afford this next big piece of equipment, or to expand my building, or to move buildings? If you've been stuck in decision limbo or making decisions that are purely based on gut feelings or panic, then this episode is for you, because the truth is, guessing is not a good business strategy. And so today I'm going to walk you through a super simple 3-step process that I use with my clients to help them make big financial decisions with confidence. So by the end of this episode, you're going to know how to stop spinning and how to start making smart, data-backed choices for your business. First, I'm just going to call it like it is. Decision fatigue or fear around making big decisions are going to kill your business, because if you've been in business for 5 minutes, you know that you have to take risks to keep on going. And if you're just sitting still out of fear, your business is going to fail. And so when you're stuck in indecision, you do things like overhiring, and then you might scramble to have to cover payroll. I have seen so many times where business owners have had to go into their own pocket just to cover payroll, and it should not be that way. Or maybe you underinvest, so you don't do anything, and then you just watch your growth stall out. So you don't have any new clients coming in, or you can't afford to hire any more team or give out raises, and that's because you're not doing anything. Or you just freeze altogether and you just let opportunities slip by. I had a client a while back who she really needed to hire a project manager, and she just kept saying, I don't know if I can afford it. But I kept showing her on paper exactly why she could afford it. But meanwhile, her delivery timelines were slipping. The rest of her team was really burned out, so they couldn't focus on what it was they needed to do because they were constantly having to make up for like a backlog of other work. And as a result, she ended up losing 2 of her biggest clients because things just kept falling through the cracks. And when we finally looked at, once she did hire this person, we looked at the numbers, and it turns out she could have easily afforded them like 6 months earlier. And by not hiring, it had already cost her way more than their salary would have. And that's the cost of guesswork and not using your actual numbers to make decisions. You can think of it as, if you're making big financial decisions without looking at your numbers, it's like driving around at night with your headlights off. You might make it home, but you're probably going to crash, right? So the framework that I use with all my clients when we're deciding whether or not to make a big financial move, whether that's hiring or expanding or just investing in anything new, we look at 3 things. The first of those is, where are you right now financially? Because before you take on something new, you need to know if your business is actually stable enough right now to support it. And so to figure that out, you ask yourself, do I have at least 1 to 2 months of operating expenses saved? Meaning, if you didn't make another sale in the next 2 months, could your business still go on without you? You need to have enough cash for that. The second one is, am I currently profitable? If you're not profitable, don't be investing in anything, And the third is, do I have predictable revenue coming in over the next 90 days? I did an episode a couple episodes back on the importance of predictable revenue. It's just paramount for the health of your business. And so if you're barely covering expenses, or you're living like invoice to invoice, this is probably not going to be the best time for a big new commitment. And that doesn't mean you're a failure. It's information that you need to use, because you need to make decisions from a place of actual data and information and not just from emotion. So after you have assessed where you're at financially right now, the next thing you can do is forecast the future impact of this decision. So if you hire this person, what is your monthly cost going to be? And when you're thinking of monthly cost of a new hire, it is not just their wages. It's their wages plus their benefits, any bonuses, commissions, overtime, things like that. How many new sales are you going to need to cover this cost? Will this new hire help you generate revenue? Like, are they in a sales role, or are they just in like an admin support role? If they're in an admin role, you need to make sure that you have the capital to cover them. Or if you invest in that new program or marketing campaign, ask, what's the break-even point? You need to figure that out. How long until you expect a return on this campaign? Are you going to be sustainable until then? You don't need a full-blown financial model to figure this out. Even, something on the back of a napkin is better than nothing at all, right? And so before your next big decision, just run a simple, what happens if I do this and what happens if I don't scenario. The final thing that we look at is, what is the cost of doing absolutely nothing? So a lot of people get stuck thinking about the risk of spending money, but they do not think about the risk of not doing anything at all. And so if you don't do that big thing, are you going to keep missing deadlines? Or will you keep losing clients because your systems can't keep up? Are you going to burn out before you even see real growth? Sometimes the biggest financial risk is the actual indecision because you're not making a decision from a place of fear, and time continues to go by, and that's just costing you money, your indecision. So I had another client, she kept putting off investing in a marketing campaign that I knew would generate leads for her. Like we modeled out absolute worst case scenario on leads, and she would still bring in more revenue, but she ended up waiting like 6 months before she finally pulled the trigger, and then it was super successful. So she was kicking herself because she realized that she had lost like tens and thousands of potential revenue by waiting and not doing anything. That leads me to the next piece of this, which is the fear aspect of things. Obviously, big financial decisions are always going to come with a little bit of fear. Whether you're doing $600,000 a year in revenue or $6 million, you're going to have some fear around big financial decisions. It's just fear of the unknown. Even when the numbers say, yes, this is going to work out, there's still a little bit of fear. That's normal. But that fear doesn't mean don't do it. It just means do it with a plan in place. Because when you ground your decisions in facts, like running the numbers and weighing the impact, that's how that fear gets quieter and quieter, and you can actually manage it. That's what separates leaders who have growing and thriving businesses from struggling entrepreneurs who are just hoping that things work out and just running purely based off of reaction and not actual facts. And so your action step for this week is, before you make your next big financial move, whether that's hiring, expanding, investing in anything new, run it through these 3 filters. The first one is, are you financially stable right now? So do you have a little bit of a cash reserve built up? Number 2 is, what is the forecasted impact on your cash flow and profitability? And again, you don't need a fancy smancy model in order to look at this. If you'd like one, let me know and I can help you, but you don't need it in order to weigh out these decisions. And finally, number 3, what is the opportunity cost if you don't move forward? So what is it costing you by not doing anything? In next week's episode, I'm going to walk through the 3 triggers that I set for every client so that they can make fast, confident yes or no decisions without any stress. Until then, I'll see you guys next week.